Here's what Eric had to say about his deal.
Hello, my sweet psychos and sickos. I miss you. I hope Espo and Steven are treating you well, but I had to get in on the fun today and bring some trades of my own. I might or might not have dabbled in some pure edibles, so walk with me here. For my first trade, it is a 4-team trade, including the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, the Phoenix Suns, and the Houston Rockets. On Milwaukee's side of thing, they are getting Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks as the players in this deal, along with the number 8, 10, 19, and 27 pick in this year's draft, along with 3 first-round pick swaps, 1 in 2026, 2 in 2027. That's all going to Milwaukee. In exchange, they're sending Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Brooklyn Nets, who are also getting Grayson Allen. As far as the Suns go in all of this, they're getting Nic Claxton and Cam Johnson from the Nets, and the 26th pick in this year's draft from Brooklyn. And what do the Houston Rockets get for giving up Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and the number 10 pick? Well, they get Kevin Durant. The Nets go all in on Giannis. They still have cap space to try to add some players around him, giving up Nic Claxton and Cam Johnson for a generational superstar. The Bucks take a shot on Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks while accumulating a ton of first-round draft capital this year and future first-round draft capital as well that they can decide to move for either young players or use them all to draft and punt after losing Giannis. As for the Rockets, they get Kevin Durant. That's their quick fix while only giving up Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and the number 10 overall pick. While Nic Claxton and Cam Johnson come to Phoenix, Phoenix also gets the number 26 pick in this year's draft to add another first rounder. So I'll hand it over to the guys. What do you all think?
I don't think it's as crazy as it might sound. It might look at first glance, to be honest.
Yeah. For people questioning why would Giannis want to go to Brooklyn, there are multiple linkings of him to the Nets and to him to the greater New York area. So I would advise going and do that research on your own. But the Nets have one very important thing. That's only a few players on their books going into next season. 4 first round picks in this upcoming draft. And I think they might have the most cap space in the entire NBA going into this offseason. So they are apron restraintless. They're pretty much on their own as far as that goes. And they have an ambitious front office that's looking to get themselves back to where they were when they exited from the Durant-led trio from a couple of seasons ago. So all of that matches with what Giannis would want, and he would be able to kind of handpick targets in terms of who he would want to bring into that Nets context with him. If he does decide to go there, that's the tip of the iceberg to then potentially link in other teams to make the books work for each respective team.
Yeah, I feel like he also cares more about like the environment, the city, the franchise's perspective than necessarily just going to some super team or a chance, necessarily the best situation to win a title right away. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the intrigue with Brooklyn, like you're bringing up, is they can say, hey, let's mold this the way you want to. Mm-hmm. Let's make this about you, and how do we get guys that you very much want to play with.
Yeah. And I honestly think that's the best way to build around Giannis, because he's not the Kevin Durant type where you can just plug and play him with anybody and it's going to work to a certain extent. Giannis has to be built around. And because of that, there's probably no better match in terms of teams that can actually get him than Brooklyn right now.
Do you think it's enough for the Suns there? You're getting Claxton, Cam Johnson, who has a couple years left on his deal, and a singular first-round pick. I think that's probably the most realistic, or one of the more realistic, returns you're going to get for Kevin Durant. I know we see a lot of pie in the sky. You can get 4 young guys and 3 first-round picks, but something like that feels like a more realistic return.
It seems like it would be. I'm sure they would ask for more, but what they actually end up having to settle on, especially when you have 3 other teams that you're dancing contractually with, somebody's going to feel like they got the short end of the stick, and it's probably going to be 2 or 3 teams in that 4-team deal they're going to feel that way. So if your goal is to get off of these certain contracts and kind of take a step in a new direction, you don't really have much say-so, especially if Durant is the one that's dictating where he's going to. So you're kind of succumb to certain instances like this.
And I felt like that's probably, if you're going to have a 4-team trade, the closest you're going to get to everybody walking away feeling like they got what they were hoping to get out of it, because it helps Milwaukee reset things, right? Which with the Dame injury, you're essentially having to do.
Yeah.
There's no real path, especially if you're moving on for Giannis. So that resets it. Giannis gets his fresh start. KD gets his. The Suns get some pieces to try to keep things going now, but with the hope that either those guys continue to grow with Devin Booker, or they're off the books where you can then get guys to grow with it. So I think it is an interesting one.